Now, as a lifelong diehard Titans fan, and as somebody that never in a million years wanted to see Mike Vrabel fired from the Titans in the first place, I think it's time that I finally break my silence on the entire Mike Vrabel Diana Russini scandal. Because there was a crazy twist in the story today, which in my opinion makes things look even sketchier than what they already were. Can't believe I'm 30 years old talking about this, dude, but if you've been living under a rock, this is what happened. Patriots head coach, former Titans head coach Mike Vrabel, seen at this very, very luxurious private hotel with NFL reporter Diana Russini. And just like on the surface, they look very intimate, you know? And the crazy thing is, Mike Vrabel, married with kids, Diana Russini has a husband, which we'll get to the husband in just a second, because I think he is kind of like the core piece to this story. Now, what gives this story legs outside of the intimate-looking pictures, which you never know, they could be harmless, but what actually gives this whole entire story legs is the rumors that have been out there about Diana Russini for probably like 5 years, maybe a little bit more. And I'm not saying they're true or not, but there's been rumors out there with some inappropriate stuff, some conduct going on behind the scenes, and specifically involving Mike Vrabel and the Titans. Because as a Titans fan, I have seen it for years, because it was a little weird that Russini would always seem like she would have the Titans scoop first. Like, I believe it might have been the Julio Jones story that she broke first, that when they traded for Julio Jones. There's a lot more, and that's just one example. I know she was definitely the first one to break that Mike Vrabel was hired by the Patriots. I believe she was the first to break that he was fired by the Titans, and like you would think, you know, like Mike Vrabel himself might have been the one to tip her off to give her the story, but like, there's been rumors like that for years. And like the Titans fans have always kind of put two and two together and thought there was something going on here. Me being just the innocent young man that I am, I would just let it all go in one ear and out the other. Because in my opinion, I thought it was just people being degenerates on the internet, just people being a little crazy with a little bit of misogyny thrown in there. So again, with just me being innocent, I just thought it was kind of just crazy coincidences and just like people on the internet just being a little crazy, just watching a little bit too much pornography. But when this comes out, man, it does look a little weird. And there's been some more breaking developments that happened recently, and something big that happened today that really kind of helped formulate my opinion on this entire situation. First of all, I'm not claiming anybody's guilty today. I mean, like, who am I to say anybody's guilty? I don't work for the FBI. Like, obviously, I have no idea what happened, but like, you can put two and two together and kind of formulate an opinion, which is what I'm going to do. And I have a lot I want to say on this, because I'm kind of sad, like, if this is true, because I always, like, looked up to Mike Vrabel. I mean, obviously, I don't know the guy, but it just seems like a really good, like, leader of men, you know, like a really good man. And I really hope this isn't true, but it doesn't look good. First of all, like, just hanging out at the hotel by themselves, I mean, that could, like, it's just innocent friends, maybe. But, like, I have to tell you right now, I've never, like, especially since I've been married or with my wife, I have never interlocked my hands with another female. Like, not even with somebody I'm related to. Like, that's weird. I've never done that. That's weird. Like, that's just strange, dude. Like, if my wife saw a picture of me doing with this another female, even though, like, it's somebody that she considers me to be friends with, she'd probably be mad. She would probably be mad. So, like, that's just a little crazy. Like, hugging's not a big deal, because be friendly hug, but that's a little wild. And then you, like, put two and two together, or, like, I guess, you know, hanging out at the pool together, being at this luxurious hotel with, like, no family members around, and I don't think it's been confirmed that they had any of their family there, so I don't know if they just so happened to be there at the same time, like, just randomly, or they plan to be there together. But we don't know that. We don't know that one way or another, which that will kind of formulate my opinion in the end when you get to the crazy twist that happened today. But it's not a good look. With the rumors that I thought were false, which still could be false, leading into this. Because nothing they have done or said since this came out has helped their cause at all. Not even remotely close. What's really weird too is, like, not even like where they're from. It's like some random luxury hotel in Arizona. But like, the quote's crazy too. Our spy makes you think like private investigator maybe. Like, who's locked in on Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini that wouldn't be like a private investigator? Like, there's not a spy that goes around following Mike Vrabel. That's just weird, unless he was hired. That leads me into a point later. But our spy spotted Vrabel and Russini again that evening on the private rooftop of one of the hotel's bungalows, which features glass walls offering panoramic views. Blah, blah. It's like a romantic setting. It says both Russini and Vrabel insist that they were there with friends and say they simply weren't visible in the pictures. Which, that could definitely be true. That could be true. But with today's twist, like, I feel like they should have, they could prove this. They literally could have a friend be like, no, we were there together, but like there hasn't been. Like, they're both being too stubborn to like show proof that they weren't actually being intimate. And that's the thing. That's like the downfall of Vrabel, man. Like, he was too stubborn as the Titans head coach, which got him fired. And like at the end of the day, he was too loyal to like some of his friends that weren't doing a good job as coordinators. So there's like completely different worlds here, possibly cheating in your abilities as a head coach, and you're like, they're being stubborn because they're like, this could very easily be disproved in different ways, but they just haven't. They haven't. They refuse to for some reason. And with what Russini did today, which again I'll talk about, I feel like she would have rather like given proof that it wasn't true versus what she did today. But anyways, like, if there were friends there, I know they don't feel like they need to prove it to anybody because they're both stubborn, but like, my guy, dude, like, just shut people down, you know? Like, if you just had some friends there, be like, hey, nah, we were hanging out together. Like, that could squash the entire story. Now, this is where things do start to get really odd. Some of the things that she has said over the years about her marriage, like, totally could be joking about some of this stuff, but it's not a good look.
Married to someone average. I don't
That's crazy.
post a lot about them. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too.
See, like, even joking, dude. Like, if I said that about my wife, I'd more than likely be slapped. I would be murdered.
You know who lets me know my marriage is falling apart? My mom.
like, there's just a lot to it, man.
No, I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband.
Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, like, even if these are like halfway jokes, like, there's a pattern there. And there's just like, there's got to be something to it. Like, in her subconscious, at least, she just doesn't sound like she likes them.
So the night before my wedding, I remember Jimmy was great. He made like a funny joke like, hey, it's night before your wedding. You sure you want to do this? And I'm thinking like, of all the people in my life that I'm going to talk to the night before my wedding, the one guy my dad wanted me to, or my mom wanted me to marry was Jimmy Garoppolo.
What does that even mean? So, again, like, you kind of take the subtle jabs, not so subtle jabs at her husband over the last 5 or so years, makes the pictures with Vrabel that much more incriminating. And remember me saying earlier that maybe it's just a crazy coincidence that they were at the same luxury hotel at the same time. I just believe that to be false. Because, like, this is in the middle of the freaking desert in Arizona, man. A luxury hotel in the middle of Sedona, Arizona. Is that right? Sedona? In the middle of Arizona. It's just no way they just so happen to be there at the same time. I just refuse to believe it. And again, with somebody taking pictures like this, I feel like somebody had to hire a private investigator. And the two most likely options there are A, Mike Vrabel's wife, which I don't think that to be the case. I think it'd be more likely to be her husband. With all the subtle jabs she's kind of thrown his way over the last 5 years or so. Again, that's just me connecting dots, not saying it for fact, but just like, if I'm a betting man, especially earlier when the initial release referred to the photographer as a spy. So, like, there's just no way that somebody hates the Patriots that much. Like, there's just no way there's some Jets fan out there so mad at Mike Vrabel that he's like going around taking pictures of them. Like, there's just no way. That doesn't fly. Again, like, a Page 6 spy tells us that the pair, both married to other people, had breakfast at the hotel restaurant around 10:30. I don't feel like that means anything, because if you're just like friends, like, you can have breakfast with somebody else, talk some business. They did spend an hour at the pool together, side by side in a hot tub. And it wasn't just like a one-off either, because later that evening, they were on the private rooftop together. The spy said they saw the pair briefly dance together. But this is another thing, though, that I'm thinking about it that, like, makes me possibly think that this is just platonic. Because with them, they're like both smart people. Like, you know, Vrabel's a smart guy. So, like, if they're actually doing something malicious here, I know this is a luxury hotel that there's probably not really populated with NFL fans who want to take pictures. But if they're doing something malicious, they would do it in private. Although this is a more private setting, like a real like public hotel or something. But like, they still gotta know if they're doing something like nefarious, that somebody's gonna take a picture of it more than likely. So I don't feel like they're that dumb. So that's kind of like makes me think maybe this is just platonic. Maybe this, maybe they're just really good friends, And as does say, both Russini and Vrabel insist that they were there with friends and said they simply weren't visible in the picture. A source close to Russini says she was staying at the hotel during a hiking trip with 2 female pals. One of Vrabel's friends told Page 6 that they and the coach drove up to Sedona for the day with another pal, and they all drove back to their own hotel some 2 hours away after hanging out with Russini and her gang. Which they're not in the pictures. But again, it had to be planned, though. There's just no way Vrabel was just randomly pulling up to this hotel in the middle of Sedona, Arizona, that he apparently is not staying at, I guess. I just want to know who was taking these pictures, dude. That's so crazy. And how, did they not notice? Because there's not many people out there. Maybe have those glasses on. Okay, what is crazy in this article is it says 3 other eyewitnesses told us they did not see anybody else with Vrabel and nobody with Russini. One eyewitness said no, he was with a girl, no friends. And this website's sequence of photographs from their private spy is taken at various points throughout the day only show those 2 together. So it's not like they just caught them at one point where they're like alone. It was multiple times throughout the day where it was just them 2. And this is where it gets kind of sketchy. It's an adult-only luxury hotel, and it prides itself on being a romantic getaway, boasting on its website about the 158 proposals that took place and thousands of anniversaries and honeymoons that have been celebrated at the hotel. So that makes it a little weird. It is specifically branded as a romantic hotel. So, again, that makes me just wonder, is I feel like they're too smart for this. They're too smart to just show up by themselves at a luxury romantic hotel and believe that nobody was going to notice, and if they did notice that, and if it got out there, that nobody's going to think anything of it. They're too smart. Which, to be fair, I was wrong. He wasn't just there to be there. He was kind of close for, I think, a pro day in somebody's combine. He was there also in Phoenix for a meeting for the NFL competition committee. So it makes it a lot less sketchy that he was actually in the area somewhat for something business related. And again, you guys remember me talking about the rumors previously with Russini up to a decade ago. So back in 2015, the wife of Washington Commanders GM publicly accused them of having an affair. So it's if there's smoke, there's fire, man. So it's not like these rumors come out of nowhere. At least previously, you had the wife of a GM say they were because she was the one to break the story about Kirk Cousins replacing RG3 as Washington's starting quarterback. And then the wife of that GM tweeted and said, "I'm pretty sure this info is coming from my husband to his new side chick, Diana." And that's kind of like the theme of what the old Titans fans were saying with Diana and Mike Vrabel. She was always breaking the Titans news first. So, who better to give you the news first than the freaking head coach of the team? But again, just because that wife said that doesn't mean it's true, because she did delete the tweet and apologize. And again, man, this all could just be some huge misunderstanding stemming initially from the wife of that GM falsely accusing her, allowing that porno-esque situation just to get ingrained in everybody's brain. And from then on out, just think that's who Diana Russini is, when initially it just could have been a false statement. It seems like a lot of smoke, man, a lot of things lining up. This right here is the big one for me, boys. This is where everything is tied together, in my opinion. Today, just a few hours ago, Diana Russini submitted her letter of resignation to The Athletic, where she's been for the last 15 years. Everything that she has to say is about it below. First of all, she left comments off, which I understand, even if all this is just false. I still wouldn't want to hear more about it, because I'm sure she's been going through it the last week. But just thinking about it logically, man, if you've been somewhere for 15 years, and there was no indication that she wanted to leave, although, it did say her contract was up in June, but, I told you guys earlier, this is so easily disprovable. All you gotta do is have one friend be like, "Yo, here's my selfie with Mike. We were just hanging out. Just a night with the boys, drinking some beers." But no, dude, we have not heard a thing. And again, I don't know if she's as stubborn as Vrabel is. Maybe there's being stubborn, being like, we shouldn't even respond to this. This is just insanity. Maybe that's what they truly think. But are they going to let stubbornness, keep her from her job that she's had for 15 years? Because she's got to know this makes her look bad. Instead of them disproving what has happened, she resigns from her job. And I know she denies it in this, but you can't deny the fact that this makes you look bad. Just in the days that followed, unfortunately, commentators and various media, I guess she's including me in this bucket now, have engaged in self-feeding speculation that is simply unmoored from the facts. I have no interest in submitting to a public inquiry that has already caused far more damage than I am willing to accept. All you gotta do is get you and your BFF Gail, who you're going on your hiking trip with, to submit, a little selfie of you and her drinking your mimosas at breakfast, and everything would be squashed. And I'm sure, too, maybe their spouses could come up and say something, but they haven't. And, I know it's tough because when you're somebody like Mike Vrabel, and I'm sure Diana, too, you don't want to give story legs and, even respond to it if you think it's that ridiculous. But at the same time, it's costing her job. Just one little selfie and you're clear. So I don't know, man. The most incriminating piece of evidence to me is the resignation. I know it's not proof or anything, and I'm not saying they're actually were having a malicious relationship, but to me, it is more likely than not they could have possibly engaged in something inappropriate, look. But I'm not gonna lie, I really do hope it's false, because like I said, man, I mean, I have no idea about Diana Russini. I just see her report, so I don't know, how she is as a person. But Mike Vrabel, just being a Titans fan, kind of just seeing him, that would make me really sad. But just a guy you look at, and you're like, that's a half-decent masculine father figure, And that just really, really hope this isn't true, man. See, he's got a wife, he's got kids, and so I'm gonna believe deep down in my heart, this is just a big, big misunderstanding between platonic friends. Which I do want you to let me know what you believe about this story in the comment section below.